get a little bit uncomfortable being called an expert. So, but yeah, I've got lots of experience on the buying side of things, and in terms of procurement, community benefits is a really huge thing on the agenda. It's something as buyers that we really like to try and deliver through our contracts. And what I feel is sometimes missing from that is, you know, we've sometimes left it a bit open to say, right, we want you to deliver community benefits, and the suppliers are a bit like, we don't really know what that means or what to deliver. This portal is such a gift because that gives suppliers a really easy way to find these opportunities to deliver community benefits. So in a way, they don't have to be as creative in coming up with them themselves, because there's a big list of community benefits for them, served to them on a plate that they can then deliver. So it's fantastic. And I've been working with colleagues at NHS to develop these training slides. This is the first time we've ran this session, so I would really encourage you to provide feedback. If there's anything that's unclear, just ask as we go along, or provide the feedback, because we can improve this. And I have got a couple of the colleagues from NHS here if there's any tricky questions that we can't ask. But really the purpose of this session is to encourage the use of the portal. It's a fantastic tool. It's really important, and it gives you guys the opportunity to have your needs put out there and to be met, and it also helps the suppliers to deliver their obligations in terms of community benefits. So an introduction to the gateway. We're going to the CBG. It's like big long acronyms. We're going to look at a case study, which I think just brings it to life a little bit, and then we're going to talk through how you actually submit a community need, and then what happens next with that. Just one thing to mention is this training has been developed specifically for NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde. The actual process of submitting your need onto the portal is exactly the same regardless of where you are, because I know there's some people from out with that area on the training today. But some of the process in terms of what happens next might be slightly different. So we can send out the relevant contact details for your specific area, if you know, along with the slide pack if we need to. So just to make you aware of that. So we'll just dive right in. The Community Benefit Gateway. So it's been developed and it's hosted by NHS National Services Scotland, NHS NSS, like the acronyms in the NHS, and also Public Health Scotland. So it's a collaborative initiative, and the purpose of that is to facilitate mutually beneficial outcomes between the Scottish third sector and NHS Scotland suppliers. So both the third sector and the suppliers are getting something out of this at the end of the day. I'm just going to play a very short video. If it looks like it might not.
Sorry,
right.
Did you have sound there?
I don't know what happens with the video. Maybe what we'll do is we'll just share that on the slides. But basically that video is just giving you a little bit of an overview of what the Community Benefit Gateway is. It's just a little visual that sort of talks you through that process, but we're going to go into it anyway. So let's just move on from those technical problems. So it's an online portal, and what it does is it connects third sector organisations who have a need, or what we call a community need, with suppliers who are willing to help them to deliver that need free of charge. So there's no money exchange there, and we're not asking for cash, and we'll talk a wee bit about that as we go on. And it's about delivering local initiatives. So, for example, it could be assisting with developing some community facilities. It could be providing work placements. It could be a product donation, or it could be things like professional training and support. So there's lots of different options in terms of what could be asked for and what suppliers could deliver. And these are all things that are going to benefit the local community. So I think a big question is, you know, if I was a third sector organisation, I might think to myself, well, why would I bother putting that on there? Because why would suppliers want to help me for free? Quite simply, it's good for business. So in terms of procurement, so if I put my procurement hat back on, within a tender, I would have criteria in there that was asking suppliers to deliver community benefits. And that is basically things that are over and above the direct requirements of the contract. It's things that are going to benefit the community as a result of that contract being in place. So as you can imagine, as a supplier, they're being asked to deliver these community benefits, and not only being asked that at the tender stage and being evaluated based on what they say about that, but that's also then monitored throughout the contract. It becomes a contractual obligation that they need to fulfil. So this is a way for suppliers to show that they're good suppliers and that they are delivering these community benefits. And a lot of contracts now have community benefit clauses in them. So touched on that already, but it becomes a contractual obligation then at that point, which what that means is if they don't deliver those community benefits, then there is consequences to that in terms of the contract that they hold. And a lot of suppliers now have their own ESG strategies where they are setting out how they want to, you know, trade ethically and to benefit the communities in which they operate. And I guess part of that is driven from, you know, what we as buyers are demanding from them. And also a lot of suppliers are just more aware of the impact that they have. So we're going to look at a case study. I actually interviewed someone and we put together a little video. It's a bit rough and ready and it just shows a real person and a real organisation, and it talks about what they had delivered for them. So the Community Benefit Gateway is connected lots of different third sector organisations with suppliers. What we want to do today, and as these training sessions progress, we want to increase that. We want more and more third sector organisations to be putting their needs on here and connecting with more and more suppliers, because it does deliver real tangible benefits within local communities, and that is really core to what procurement is about. So the case study is an organisation called BCDC, and we interviewed Martin McElroy, who's the Chief Executive of that organisation. So bear with me, this is the bit that I'm not good at. I need to make sure I share the different tab, and hopefully you can see and hear Martin's interview. Please let me know if there's any issues.
It's very quiet, man. Did you have a volume?
Right, let's see. Right, that's muted. I'm so sorry.
It's okay, just take your time.
Right, I'm going to just put it back a little bit. Is that louder?
Better.
So what our organisation aims to do, so we own and operate 3 community centres in the area, and we try to do all different activities for people that they can attend and participate in help strengthen the community. But we also try and create economic opportunities for people locally as well. And you have sort of the community space available at a subsidised rate for other community organisations as well.
Amazing. So how did you hear about the Community Benefit Gateway?
So the Community Benefit Gateway, it first came across it because we were helping NHS deliver a vaccination programme in one of our facilities. And we were speaking to the clinical leads, and they suggested that we do a bit of research and find out more. We were really interested in getting on board with it.
Okay, and what was the project that you submitted onto the portal?
So the project we wanted to do was in response to what we were being told by members of the local community, which is support during really difficult time. Also, going through the growth. So we wanted to help support people get access to cleaning products and personal hygiene products, and put together packages for folk who perhaps needed a bit of extra support accessing these types of things, because what we found was whilst food support started to get a lot better for people, there was still very little in terms of things which we also are essential items for cleaning your home or for looking after yourself. So we wanted to put together packages that would help families in a local area get access to things like shampoo or deodorant, or even cleaning basic cleaning items like bleaching, cleaning sprays and stuff like that for folk.
Okay, and how did you find that process of putting your needs onto the portal?
So it's really simple to use and straightforward. I think once you understand the concept, it's actually really straightforward. And once you understand that you are looking for support for a project and not actually necessarily thinking it's not the financial support they're looking for, but the actual project to be delivered, then I think actually it's really, really simple. And the beauty of it as well is, if you've got any questions, the team at the NHS are also really responsive and really good at helping you answer any queries.
That's great. So would you have any top tips for any other third sector organisation who's putting that requirement on there?
Yeah, so the best piece of advice I would say is, if you do have any questions, you do just get in touch, and the team were great. They get back to you. We had a bit of a debate about whether or not our request was going to fit with what suppliers want to deliver. So we thought that we would maybe try and do a project which would fit. So some of the bigger suppliers of the NHS, because there might be a chance that our bids would get picked. But actually that wasn't the case. The people who supported the project had nothing to do with the supplying of cleaning products and personal hygiene products. It was actually the folk who provide like print materials and stuff for the NHS. So the two of them are, you don't have to write your bid to fit the suppliers, you write the bid to fit your needs. You write the bid to hopefully make as much impact as possible for the people you're trying to help. So don't think about what the suppliers want, think about what you and your requirements are for your company.
Brilliant. I think that's a great tip. So once you put your opportunity or your needs up there on the portal, what happens next? How do you get matched with a supplier?
So after we put it in the portal, we got an email about maybe 2 months after, saying that a company had matched with them and wanted to support us. And we made contact with them, and they made arrangements to come and meet us and to drop off a bunch of supplies, which helped fulfill what we were wanting to do. So the process took between 8 to 10 weeks specifically happening from that.
That's great. And what was the outcome of the project? What impact did it have?
So we managed to get 50 families locally the cleaning supplies for the houses and personal hygiene products. So things which we can distribute to folk, because the reality is when you're dealing with people who face multiple levels of deprivation, sometimes in terms of the hierarchy of what they need to survive day to day, sometimes the things like deodorant or toothpaste or cleaning products can fall off the shopping list when you're trying to buy enough food to feed your family. So we managed to help 50 folk during the winter last year and into this year get access to some basic supplies.
That's great, amazing. Would you have any sort of words of wisdom or advice for third sector organisations? Touched on that already.
Again, I can't emphasise this enough, but if you don't put your hand in, then you'll never get what it is you're after. And you might be right in thinking, oh, this is too ambitious. But my advice is write what it is that you want to do, and sometimes a supplier will partially deliver or partially support, and then you're some of the way there. The reality is, if you don't break that bit, then you won't get anything at all. There's an awful lot of suppliers out there who do very, very well with public sector contracts, including the NHS, and they are obliged to supply the community benefits. But if you are in there asking for these community benefits, then you'll never get the benefit of that public sector spend. So my advice is, if you've got an idea for a project, get out of it.
Brilliant, that's great. And is there anything that you would like to say to suppliers who might be considering accessing some of these opportunities on the portal?
So for suppliers, I think there's a real opportunity to really get to know some of your units, and you'll get to understand what it is.
Mandy, sorry, can I just, before you start, I just want to say that the sound was a wee bit on the quiet side, guys. I do apologise for that. We will be giving you the slideshow with the link to the recording, so it'll be much easier to hear it when you're playing it back at home. But today, playing the video through Cisco, it was a wee bit on the grainy side, Mandy, sorry. On you go, carry on.
Give me 2 seconds. I could still hear that video playing, Fran. Apologies, I'm just going to go back to the slides. I'm really sorry if you couldn't hear that well. If you do get the time, please do go back and watch it, because it was a really good video from Martin, and I think it's good just to hear from a real person and a real organisation that's benefited from putting their need on the portal. And I think, as Martin said, hopefully you could hear a little bit of it, but you know, if you don't put it on, it's that sort of you don't ask, you don't get kind of thing. You know, you've really got nothing to lose by putting your requirement on there, but you've got everything to gain if someone was to go ahead and bid to deliver that need. So it's definitely worthwhile doing. I've just popped another little slide up. I'm not going to go in and look at all these case studies, but there's a list of other case studies that you might want to look at, just to give you a bit of a steer in terms of the types of projects that have been accepted, what was done there, what was delivered. So we've got cancer support, we've got a couple of men's sheds, shop mobility, mental health services, a huge different variation of different projects, you know. And Martin obviously spoke about the personal hygiene and cleaning products that he had requested through the portal. So there's quite a lot of diversity, so it's really thinking about what is needed, and as I say, don't be scared to put it on the portal, because it's important to get it out there, and you know, if you don't ask, you don't get. So we'll go on and talk a wee bit about how you're going to submit your community needs. Does anybody have any questions at this point? Has anything came through in the chat, Fran, at all? Before I move on.
No questions yet. Please feel free to use live chat, guys. A little speech bubble down round about your clock area, and change your to option to all panelists, and then you'll find a free field for typing just below the two. Thank you.
Perfect. What I also wanted to just highlight was when I started speaking with the ladies at the NHS, and we were going through the portal and what the process is, we started to look at things like needs that had maybe been rejected, that hadn't been accepted onto the portal, and the message that was coming through loud and clear for me was, there's not going to be anything that gets rejected, because the support that's going to be provided to help people to submit these needs, even if you were to put something on there and it didn't quite match up with the criteria, the team are really going to support you through that process. So whether it's a wee bit of tweaking or just updating something to make sure it complies with everything it needs to, the team are very committed to making sure as many third sector organisations can put their needs onto this portal. So what we want to get to a point is that there's not really anything getting rejected. It's either getting accepted onto the portal straight away, or we do a little bit of work in the background and then it goes live just a little bit further down the line. So I'm going to reiterate that as we go through and talk about how the process works, but I just wanted to say that that was something that's became very clear to me, is that you will be supported through that process. And Martin actually spoke about that in the video as well, that, you know, he was able to get support from the team, which is great. So submitting your need onto the community benefit portal is simple. It's easy to say that when you've done these things before, but it really is fairly straightforward. But there's some key things to consider to make sure that your submission is accepted and that it stands out to prospective suppliers. So we're going to talk through some of those things today. So identifying a community need. So before you submit your need to the portal, just have a little think about what it is that you actually need and how you're going to communicate that. And one of the things you want to be thinking about is it actually a community benefit? And does it align with NHS Scotland's values? Because if not, then it's not going to be taken forward. And does it comply with the purposes of the Equality Act? So we just want to make sure that nobody is requesting anything that is somehow discriminated against any of those protected groups. I'm sure that's unlikely, but you never know, these things could happen. So that these are the things that the triage panel, and we'll go on and speak a wee bit about that panel, these are the things that they're going to consider when they're deciding whether to accept or reject that community need onto the portal. So what is a community benefit? So specifically, we're talking about improving the economic, social and environmental well-being of your local area. But what is well-being? So that could be economic factors. Now, we're not allowed to ask for money, and we'll talk again about that, but something that's going to improve the local economy. It could be social factors. It could be health related or environmental. And if you think back to Martin's video, that was really mainly around the social and the health related. It was making sure that people had products to look after their health and their well-being on that side of things. So just making sure that what you're putting in actually is benefiting the local community. Sorry about those bullet points. So the NHS Scotland values, it's about care and compassion, it's about dignity and respect. You would definitely say that those two things were applicable to the case study that we looked at. It's about open, honest responsibility and quality and teamwork. So the panel are going to look at the submission and say, does it align with these values? And hopefully it will. And, you know, if there is any concerns around that, as I say, the team will really work with you to review the need and make sure that it fits in with what's required. And then I've just popped up a little reminder of the Equality Act and the protected characteristics. I'm not going to go into that in detail, but again, that's something that the team will have in mind when they're deciding whether to accept that need. They're going to just make sure that nothing's been breached there or nobody's been disadvantaged. So in terms of submitting a community need, the process is that the third sector organisation submits the community need onto the portal. The NHS reviews and approves. So that would be that triage panel that I mentioned. So it doesn't just go straight onto the portal. There's that check to make sure it complies with all those things that I just mentioned. Once it's approved, the need then becomes live on the website and the suppliers can find that need. They actually can go in and search on the portal, and they can also sign up to get email alerts in terms of what is going on to the portal. And if they see something that they like or that they would like to bid for, they then submit a bid through the portal to deliver that need. What that does is it notifies the third sector organisation that someone's interested in delivering their needs, and the third sector organisation and the supplier agree on how and when that's going to be delivered. That bit of it is out with the system. So it's almost like an introduction, and then they then go away and do their own thing. The supplier delivers it, and then the NHS will be reviewing the delivery of those benefits. So if there's a community benefit requirement in the contract with the supplier, that will be reviewed at those regular contract management meetings to make sure that they are delivering those needs, and they would be providing evidence of that. I've just popped up a little link of where you can go to register. I'm not going to click into it because usually when I try and go to external websites, it goes a bit haywire, but you just basically, you're inputting basic information about your organisation, and that sets you up with a profile on there. And you can also see on there, once you set your profile up, you can also see what other needs are on there. So sometimes it's quite useful just to have a wee scan through, see what other people have put on and what's been accepted onto the portal. It just gives you a bit of an idea of what others have put on there. And it also shows you what suppliers can actually see. So registering a community need. So once you're set up on the system and you are going to submit your need, I'm just thinking that writing on there maybe is a little bit pale. So I'm sorry if you can't see that very well. We'll see if we can get that fixed for the next time. So you're going to be asked to complete a number of questions, and some of them are free text, some of them are selected from a drop-down box, and there's lots of them that you'll already know. It's information about your organisation, where you're located, all of those things. So I'm not going to go through every single box today because you know how to fill in that information. But we'll go over some of the questions that might need a wee bit more thought, and that's just to make sure that your need gets approved, and then it also stands out to suppliers so that you can generate interest that people actually want to deliver the need that you have submitted onto there. So when you go in to the register a community need area of the portal, you'll be able to see all the questions before you start filling in the form. I always quite like that because I hate when you need to fill in one bit of the form to get to the next bit. I like to see what is all the things they're going to ask me, and then I go away and I collate all the information and then I fill the form in. So the good thing about this portal is you can do that. You can see what the questions are and you can go away and think about your answers before you fill it in. A top tip, if the need has got multiple elements, you should look at listing each one of them separately. So what happens if someone submits a bid and you accept it is, that need then just comes straight off the portal. It's not there anymore. So say it was a bathroom, for example, and you had just put up a bathroom refurbishment. And then someone submitted a bid and said, I could install a toilet for you. If you accept that, then that means that whole need comes off. Now, of course, you can add the other parts back on, but when I spoke to my colleagues in the NHS, they suggested if you break it down into the smaller elements, that's the best way to go. And in some ways, that makes it a bit more bite-sized, maybe for suppliers as well. There's a little red circle with a question mark in it against each question. That gives more information on what it is that they're actually asking. And then don't forget that there is a step-by-step guide, and I've just linked it on those slides. So once you get access to them, you'll be able to go in and see that step-by-step guide. You can also access that via the homepage for the Community Benefit Gateway. So all the guides are on that homepage. So some of the sections that are important to think about, and these are the first things that the supplier is going to see when they search for a need. When they're looking on that page, these are the things that are going to stand out. So what is the community need? What is the title of it? And you want to really make that short and snappy, but you also want to capture the essence of what the project is actually going to be about. So you want to be quite direct. So, for example, if you just said building improvements, I think that was an example that was given recently, building improvements. Well, what does that actually mean? Well, we need a new window and we need a new toilet. Like breaking it down, that's much more specific. So the supplier can quite easily look at that and say, oh yeah, we know we can deliver that or we can't, rather than making it a bit more generic. And that really helps you to stand out from the crowd as well. And then a summary of what is the community need aiming to achieve. So they've given some examples. Revamp a dementia-friendly community garden for the local community, or it could be update IT equipment, take a group of disabled children to an event. Again, being as direct as possible, this is really your opportunity to stand out to the suppliers. You want to be clear and concise about what exactly is it that you need. So no fluffy language, just direct to the point. What is it that you want them to deliver? And then one of the next boxes is the specifics of that community need. So that is a much more detailed explanation of what's required. You want to really explain exactly what it is that you want them to do. So don't just give a general description, explain exactly what it is that you want from them. So going back to the toilet example, do you want just a toilet? Do you want them to supply the toilet and fit the toilet? Just really detailing exactly what it is, break it down as much as possible. Remember, you can't ask for money. So when I spoke to my colleagues, as I say, we spoke about reasons for rejection, and we want to avoid these being rejected at all. But one of the biggest reasons was where money is being requested. That's not the purpose of the portal. So just a reminder on that. And then moving on to one of the next fields, and it's asking about what is the evidence to support your community needs. So if you are able to add evidence of what benefits are going to be achieved from that need being delivered, that's really going to help the supplier to understand how they're going to add value and how they're going address any risks or questions. So if you think back to Martin's example with the packs, that was packs of cleaning products and personal hygiene products for 50 families. And within that, he explained what was the need for that. So people were suffering from multiple levels of deprivation, and there was other initiatives in place to address issues around food access. But what wasn't available to people was these cleaning products and these personal hygiene products. So as much information on that as you can. You want to make it compelling. You want the supplier to really want to help you and feel that it's a worthy cause, but also be very clear on exactly what it is that you're asking of them. If you've got any data or evidence or anything like that, then that's great to back it up. And at the very end of the form, there is an opportunity to add attachments. So you could include any reports, data or evidence that would support that submission. That's not always going to be required. It really depends what it is that you're asking for. But if there's anything that, like, say it was the toilet example again, I don't know why I keep going back to that, but it could even be photographs, or it could be plans or anything like that that would help them to fully understand what you need. Okay. And then I think finally, I was going to say finally, but I think this is the last part about adding your need on, how you're going to measure the success of the community need. So what are the outcomes that you're looking to achieve from this? So if it was Martin's example, it was the 50 packs to get distributed. How are you going to know if those have been achieved? So for that one, it was probably quite easy because 50 packs got delivered. In other cases, it could be a little bit more complex. It could be about satisfaction, and then you might want to do a satisfaction survey, or, you know, whatever it is. But just really thinking about how you are going to measure the outcomes that are being delivered, and report back on that. And one of the things that's really important for the suppliers is that they're able to evidence that to the NHS in terms of that contract management process, making sure that they are actually delivering these community needs and they're evidencing that. And they'll go on to develop things like case studies, like we've seen in that link previously. Building up those case studies is great because it helps others to understand what it is that they can do as well. Yes, okay, right. So does anybody have any questions about adding your need onto the portal in the first place before we move on to what happens next?
Questions, but I'm just checking. I don't think they're about adding to the portal.
I can see one actually from someone called Pauline Wallace.
Okay.
And
I've got Pauline's here. So can an organisation submit more than one need? Yeah. Can it?
Absolutely, yeah. So if you've got more than one need, yes, you can add that onto the portal, and that could either be a breakdown of a big need. You're going to break that down into smaller pieces, or it could be separate needs. So yes, you can. And your need, once it's put on there, it stays on there for 12 months. I think we maybe cover that later on in the slides, but it stays there for 12 months or until you find someone that's going to deliver it for you.
Perfect. Pauline also asked if the third sector organisation is set up to support one specific group of people. Would this be seen as discriminatory?
So would that be like, for example, the men's shed is there only for men? Is that the sort of thing that you're thinking, Pauline? Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I don't actually know how that works in terms of the Equality Act, but I'm presuming these things are okay because they have been accepted previously. That's maybe one to put back to the NHS colleagues. I don't think it's seen as discriminatory if it's meet the needs of one specific group of people. I think that's okay.
So one question that I can see that might be more related to putting your need on the portal is from Laura. Would video and or photos be suitable here?
So you could add video or photo in the attachments at the end, and sometimes that's really powerful, isn't it, to be able to, you know, actually speak, rather, you know, speak on a video rather than writing stuff down. So yeah, I think absolutely. And things like photos, like if you wanted to say, right, we really need this room painted, it would be great for them to see how bad it looks just now before it's been painted, wouldn't it? And what benefit that's going to bring. So yeah, absolutely.
Perfect idea.
Someone said they don't have the chat feature, but they
That's okay,
have.
we've sorted that.
All right, okay, that's fine. Okay, and then someone else has asked. I think it says Savio. Sorry, the writing's really pale. Are there any smaller organisations listing their needs? So as long as you are a third sector organisation, it doesn't matter what size you are. You can put your need on there. Absolutely.
While we've got you then, Mandy, David is asking, can you go over again the difference of projects being based in or out with the NHSGCC area?
Yeah, so everything that we've spoken about up until now would be relevant to anywhere in Scotland, because the way you put the need onto the portal is exactly the same. The thing that might look slightly different depending on what area you're in would be how that's dealt with once you've submitted your need. So what we're going to talk about just now is the GGC way, which is that sort of triage process and really supporting you through that process. But that's not necessarily the way it's done for everyone. We can't speak for every area if they do it exactly the same way. But what we will do is we can provide those contact details so you can find out more information on that.
Perfect. I've got one more question. Can I just squeeze this in, Mandy?
Absolutely, yeah.
First of all, I just want to say, Mary, you are communicating through chat, so just pop your question in the exact same wee box that you've said that you've not got the chat feature. That will work for me. Russell was asking, can a group request products for an individual? An example may be a beneficiary needs a riser recliner chair in their own home, but the state isn't providing one as it's not classed as critical.
I would say, and maybe my NHS colleagues want to confirm, but as long as that person is a service user of your third sector organisation, I don't see why not. I think that would be relevant, but maybe someone can confirm that for sure, just in case I'm giving the wrong information out there.
Perfect. So our NHS colleagues that are online just now, just use this chat feature, change the 2 options to all panellists, please, and both Mandy and I will be able to see that. Thanks, Mandy. That's me out for the moment.
That's fine. I'll just move on with the slides, and if we can come back to that answer, that's perfect. So this part, in terms of what happens next, it will be a very similar process, whichever area you're in, but this has been written based on GGC and what they do. And they've got a fantastic team there who are very passionate about the delivery of these community needs. And really, as I said before, the message that's came across to me is we never want a rejected bid. So if it doesn't quite meet the criteria, we're going to do everything to help you to get that up to scratch so it can go on there. So once your need is submitted via the portal, your local NHS team is going to review that need, and they're going to make sure that it aligns with the NSS guidance. So that's the guidance on sort of accepting requirements onto the portal. And then a panel is going to review the application. And it's only once that's then been approved that suppliers will be able to bid to deliver your needs, because they'll be able to find that requirement, that need on the portal. So what happens next? So when a bid is submitted, the NHSGGC staff, they're going to review it in the first instance. They're going to cast an eye over it straight away, and they're going to make sure that it meets the criteria. And then if any other information is needed, so they're not going to just reject it, someone will get in touch with you. The goal is to really support you through that process. Then a panel meet monthly, and that is to review the applications in more detail. And that's made up of representatives from Health Improvement, from Procurement, and from Glasgow Council for the voluntary sector. So that's a joint sort of collaborative panel, and that will be different depending on what area you're in. It might be a different approach there. In terms of that panel and who sits on that, but it will probably follow very similar principles. Following the meeting, you will receive an email, and that's going to confirm the outcome. And because of that part that's happened before, where if there was missing information, someone's going to contact you and help you through that process, it should really be a congratulations email. Your submission has been accepted onto the gateway. It shouldn't be a rejection. So if it is approved, your needs will then become live on the portal and suppliers can find it. Anyone else can see those needs as well, and it will stay there for 12 months or until such time that you accept a bid. After 12 months, if nobody has delivered your requirement, but you would still like it to be on there, you can simply resubmit that. So once it has been approved, it's going to appear on that gateway register. I've already said that, stole my own thunder there. And if a supplier decides to bid against your need, so they literally just click a little button and they have to fill in some information about how they're actually going to deliver it. What is it that they're offering to do for you? So you'll then get a notification email to the email address that was registered in the system, and it's going to say, someone would like to deliver your need, and here's a wee bit more information about them. You can then review that, and if you think that is going to be a good fit, you would contact the supplier to agree on the next steps. And as I say, that part of it happens out with the system. So the system is making that connection, and then the discussion in terms of how it's going to be delivered will be between the third sector organisation and the supplier to agree the next steps. Really important, your need is going to remain visible on the register for 12 months or until you agree a bid. So in that time where someone is submitted a bid, until you accept that within the system, it's still there. Other people can still see it. They can still submit a bid for it as well. So just something to be aware of. So really, as soon as you've agreed that with the supplier, you want to be updating that within the system so that nobody else is sort of wasting their time getting in touch with you. This is actually really, I don't know if anyone can actually see this, but it's very pale. This was just an example of what people can see on the system. So it's just a list of different community needs. You can see that little button, hopefully there, on the right-hand side. It says place bid. As I say, that's what the supplier would click on, and it then takes them into that little form where they give a wee bit more information about who they are and what it is that they're promising to deliver. We'll see if we can get these darkened up a little bit for the next time, and hopefully you can see them when you get the actual slides through. But the best thing to do really is to register on the system and go in and have a look for yourself, and then you can see them in real time rather than it just being a screenshot. So before accepting the bid, you're going to contact the supplier, you're going to discuss their offer fully, you're going to decide whether you wish to accept that. And if you agree, then you click the accept button within the portal. That just removes it from the register. It maintains the correct status. So when the team are reviewing what has been put on there, what's been delivered, they'll be able to see the correct status on there. If your request has not been fully met, so if we take Martin's example of the 50 packs, if someone came along and said, actually, we can only deliver 20, but we want to do that, he still needed 30. He could just add that requirement back on to the portal. And it says here, someone else asked this question, but it says multiple requests are encouraged. Just a bit of practicalities. Once you click accept, it's going to open up an email link, and if you click send on that email, that's what triggers the status update. This is all detailed in the step-by-step guide as well, so you can refer back to that if needed. And it says here that the email will have 2 links or buttons to either accept or reject the bid. So if you accept, you must click the accept button, or the link in the email, and if you reject it, then you're going to reject it. But hopefully the bid meets your requirement. You work directly with the supplier to deliver against the need, meet your timescales. You're going to agree that between both parties. And when the project has been completed, you will update that within the portal, just so that the correct status is showing, and that just allows tracking. You also get an email at 3 months and 6 months, which just asks for an update on your project. And as I mentioned before, you may also be asked to provide a case study or participate in a case study that just sort of shows what has been delivered through your project. And that is us at the end of the slides. I've put up some contact details here. So this is the SPD, the Supplier Development Programme, who are running the training session, email address, and then there's a contact email for NHSGGC. But as I say, there is another email address that we can put out there for the wider NHS, and that would be if you needed to discuss anything and you're not in that area.
Perfect, Mandy.
Okay.
And normally I would stop the recording there, but I'm not going to stop the recording. I think we'll keep going because we've got some questions that I think would benefit from being part of the recording. Yep. So maybe you want to stop sharing because we're on your black slide just now. Oh, somebody's put something through the Q&A.
Yep. Yeah, that's
fine. I'll check the Q&A. So David was Pauline, first of all, Pauline was asking, is there a time limit on delivery of need from a supplier?
So there's not. I think that obviously we would want it to be delivered as quickly as possible. Within the portal, they put in like a deadline in terms of, so the supplier will put in a deadline in terms of like how, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, how quickly they're going to deliver it, when they want to deliver it by. But that would be a discussion between both parties, really. But yeah, you would want to be doing it as soon as possible, I think, wouldn't you?
Perfect, thank you. I've just spotted the Q&A and Angela's response has been coming through the Q&A, so I'll go to that in a wee second. Angela, no need to do it through the chat now. I've caught it in the Q&A. So David is asking to clarify that whilst organisations can't actually ask for cash, responding may require supplier spending actual cash. For example, it cannot all be done in kind.
Yeah, so there could be a cost to the supplier of delivering that community need, and that's something that they would have to absorb. Now, when they have got these community benefit clauses within their contracts, normally that is linked with the value of the contract. So the way that they will look at that is they normally will consider the community benefit requirement as part of their overall commercial tender submission. So they'll take it into account within their costing model, essentially. And as I say, it's linked. So nobody's asked to deliver, you know, too much community benefits in comparison with the value they're getting through these contracts. But as Martin said, a lot of suppliers do very well from these contracts, and really it's about making sure that they're giving something back, that they're delivering something additional. Quite often it can be linked. I know Martin gave that example where the company was nothing to do with cleaning products and they ended up delivering them. But sometimes it can be like a skill thing, or it can be something that the organisation already has that they are passing on. There's obviously still an indirect cost to that, but yeah, sometimes there will be a cost, but what they're not allowed to do is ask specifically for money. Someone else has asked about that as well. Could you ask the contractors to provide money to buy the cleaning products? So we couldn't do that, but you know, they could arrange to go and buy them from Tesco if they wanted to, with their cash. It's just that there's no exchange of cash between the organisations.
Angela's come back to help answer Russell's question. So Angela's an NHS colleague that's online with us today. And Angela said applications can be made for specific or individual needs. So hopefully that helps Russell. Laura was asking, how often do suppliers check this? What if they never do? Also, is the panel meeting at the start or the end of the month, just so we know when uploading?
Angela can probably answer that one about when the panel meeting is. I know it's once a month, but I don't know what time of the month it is. But that's a good question. And sorry, what was the other question, Fran, while we're waiting on Angela to reply?
Angela, every 2 weeks, Angela says every 2 weeks. So also, is the panel meeting at the start or the end of the month? Angela, if you could, do you want to let me know via chat if you want to come online? Maybe you want to come, although having said that, there's only 1 or 2 questions left. Start of the month. Laura, so the start of the month and every 2 weeks. Laura said that's grand. And Angela goes on to say companies cannot view each other's application on the portal. Everything is confidential. Magic, Angela, thank you. Jason says, where do you access the portal? Did you have a slide on that, Mandy? Did I see a screenshot?
Yeah, so I've added a link into the into one of the slides. I'm sorry, it's not letting me open it. It's on one of the really early slides. There's a link, and I literally just Googled NHS Community Benefit Gateway, to be honest with you, to find it myself. But yeah,
we'll give you a link.
There is a link. Yeah, don't worry. There's a link. But if you want to do it before you get the slides, just Google it and it'll come up straight away, because it's easily searchable. And as I said before, all the user guides are on there as well. So you might want to familiarise yourself with them. They literally talk you through that whole process. Oh, there's someone. Gillian's put the link up.
Gillian's popped. So no need to be Googling. Gillian's popped into the live chat. Feel free to, she shared it with everybody, so feel free to copy that. Savvy was asking, Savvy was asking, is it suitable for IT requests such as Teams, WhatsApp, etc., for training and support?
As long as that is a community benefit, as long as it is benefiting the wider community, then
it's not free. I don't know that you pay for WhatsApp, do you? Savvy, I'm not sure that is a paid for service. We're not quite sure we're understanding the question.
Things like Teams, though, I know certainly like there is a cost involved in some of those things. If it was going to be something that was benefiting your service users, then I think that would be okay. I know that there's been ones for IT equipment. I'm not sure about software type services, but I don't see why not.
Yeah.
Russell is asked, does the demand exceed supply of community benefit requests? So at the moment, there's a relatively small amount, I would say, of needs on there. What we really want to do is encourage more and more third sector organisations to put their requirements on there. And what the NHS are doing through their procurement is really trying to direct people to that portal. So as I said at the beginning, what used to happen in public contracts is we would say, oh, we want you to deliver community benefits, and we never really gave much of a steer in terms of what was really expected. We just left it up to suppliers' imagination to come up with those. But what the NHS are doing is they're really driving people towards that portal to say, we want you to deliver community benefits, and here's where you can find ones that people actually need to be delivered. So it's about improving the knowledge and awareness of this portal from both sides, isn't it?
Perfect. So Angela's joined us online. There was 2 answers came in. Angela said, yes, you can request IT equipment. Mandy is correct. And then Angela said, not at the moment in Glasgow. So we're not sure what you meant by that, Angela. Not at the moment in Glasgow. What's not available in Glasgow?
I can't remember what Mandy actually
I
asked.
think that's the one about at present does the demand exceed supply?
Yes, that's absolutely right, Mandy. No, we'd like to encourage as many third sector organisations to apply because we really feel that the system has actually been underutilised at the moment. Can I also just confirm that it's every 4 weeks the panel meet and not every 2 weeks? And usually it is at the beginning of the month, but we try to contact any organisation who makes an application, and we're contacted through NSS to tell us there's a new application. Myself and my colleague Julie will contact that organisation to tell them that we've received their application. We will then triage it and take it to our panel of colleagues from Procurement. Brian Roach, who's the Assistant Director of Procurement, sits on the panel, and we have Pauline Gordon and Anya Nasir from Glasgow, the Voluntary Centre in Glasgow. So there's quite a good panel and a good mix there to review these. I do appreciate, Mandy, very much you emphasising how we are in a position now where we're trying to support every application that comes in, as opposed to any rejections. So again, part of our sort of marketing is to encourage people. No questions too small. We're happy to deal with anything that comes through. Can I also say that there's a website, our colleagues in NSS are able to signpost anyone out with the Greater Glasgow and Clyde area who might be on this call, and they can signpost them to people like myself and Julie within their NHS areas. And just really quickly, the email address for that is nss.combenstriage@nhs.scot, and I've put that on the chat, so maybe one of your colleagues can actually share that with the group as well. So thank you.
I see. I'll just try and copy that and I'll pop it through the chat so that everybody online's got it. That's fabulous, Angela. Thank you so much. There we go. That link is coming out to you now, guys. Thank you.
There's another question that's came directly to myself, and I just want to maybe clarify it. It's from Russell. How do we ensure the product requested is supplied by the state? Russell, could you explain what you mean by that, if that's okay?
Perfect. Savio came back to clarify the meaning. He meant to digital literacy issues. So it's money to help train people how to use the portals, not to get the portals. Thank you for clarifying that, Savio.
That would be a perfect project. You know, that's definitely a community benefit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Could I clarify as well that once an organisation has submitted a request and that a supplier has decided that they would like to bid to complete that request, the negotiation is done between the person who's requested benefit and the actual organisation. So all the questions that have been asked are very pertinent, but remember the contract is between the two parties. They're then responsible for timelines, for example, when they're saying we would like X amount of work done in specific times. It's up to the two parties to negotiate these things. It's not, we then take a step back and allow that to naturally take place. In terms of money, you're absolutely right, Mandy. People cannot request money. But Julie and I would not, normally not contact an organisation to explain that to them. However, if you have an organisation who meets with you and they'd like to support you and offer you money, then again, that contract is between the two of you. It's nothing to do with us in terms of managing the portal and managing the applications, if that makes sense.
Perfect, Angela. Thank you so much for that. That's great. Laura was asking, do we need to register with that link or register externally?
You register independently. If you go onto the NSS website or Public Health Scotland website and put in community benefits, then you'll see all the guidance. There's a toolkit there and there's guidance explaining, you know, what to do if you're a supplier, what to do if you're a third sector organisation. And it's very clear on how to, it's a step-by-step process. It's a shame that the video at the beginning didn't really work as well as it could have, because that's a very simple way of describing how to actually make the application.
Yeah, I would definitely encourage people to go back and watch that, because it's very, and it's pictures, it's quite straightforward. There's not too many words in there, but it's really helpful.
Everybody will be able to go back on it once they get it to their own system.
Yeah. There's a few more questions, Fran. Will I just read them out? Is that okay?
It's okay, I've got them. Unless I didn't go directly to you. If it's all panellists, I should be able to see it, Mandy. Laura said it's a great programme, to be fair, and I think it's got great potential. Thank you for sharing that, Laura. Savio's we've covered. That was more about digital literacy. Laura says, sorry for being a nerd. No need to apologise. How many requests get met on average? So maybe that's one for Angela. Do we have an average yet, Angela?
Well, no, I actually don't have an average at the moment. In Glasgow, I can tell you that we've got 8 requests at the moment, but you know, that's quite small, I think. So I'm really keen that everybody who's in the Glasgow area today are enthused by the excellent presentation from Mandy, and we'll start putting some applications in as soon as possible. So get in as quickly as you can.
Beat the rush. Peter was saying,
Beat the rush.
Peter was saying, we'd maybe ask if a company could help rebuild a small internal office space. Might this be in scope or at the larger end of a request? So
100% in scope, 100%. And as I said, what you would do in that case would be that you would, it's really important that you write down exactly what your request is. So I would imagine there would be some structural work involved in that. So you would need to make it clear that this would be, the structural work would need to be done before the next piece of work, might be laying floors or building walls. So it would be quite good if you could actually put it down in sequence to say that this would need done first. The other thing that's been brought to my attention in terms of structural work is some organisations don't own the buildings that they are working from. And if that's the case and you're looking for structural work to be done, the permission needs to be sought before you can actually look for a supplier. So you may need to have some kind of contract with the person who owns the building, or indeed permission to say that you can do any structural work to the building. So that's really quite an important thing to remember.
That sounds like the voice of experience, Angela.
No, it isn't really. It's just I have a very good colleague in procurement who was able to answer that question. It was only yesterday I asked it. I didn't realise that. So
teamwork, love it. David was asking, does the website Jill referenced within the live chat contain contacts by NHS board area?
If you contact that email address that I sent you, they'll be able to give you the name of the person like me from NHSGGC who will actually be able to guide them towards their applications, etc., and take them through the process.
What we could maybe do is if we could maybe contact that email and get that list.
I don't think they'll put it out. No, I don't think they'll put it out.
Okay,
I think right. Done an individual request to demonstrate that you're from that health board. There's areas, so and there's a variety of people involved in all the different sectors. It's just and each group's unique to that health board area. So That's why that information wouldn't be disclosed. And they'll not disclose it anyway through GDPR, so they'll be, I'm quite sure you'll need to go through some kind of process to get that information.
Angela was saying this has been really informative and she's a way to register. That's fabulous. That's what we were looking for. I'm not seeing any more questions coming through, but we've still got plenty of time. So if you want to ask a question or if you want to bridge any gaps in your knowledge, do that now. Pop it through the live chat. If you've asked a question that's not been answered yet, could you pop that back through the live chat, but maybe change it to all panelists, please, just in case we've not got eyes on it. Mandy, it might be worth having a wee look to see if anybody else has put anything directly to you.
Yeah, I've got one just from Russell again. It's about equipment, and he's just saying who checks if the item is provided by the estate or not. I'm still not quite clear on what that means. I don't know if you mean, does it become an asset of the third sector organisation once it's been provided? Yeah, it would. If it becomes if it was gifted by the supplier, it would then become the third sector organisation's asset. I don't know if you want to clarify that again. Sorry, Russell, I'm not quite understanding the question. Sometimes it's difficult when it's written down, isn't it? So even if you want to come in on the mic, I think that would be fine, wouldn't it? Or is that not? I see, Fran, I can see your face. Is that not okay? Okay. It's not.
Too many people online today. Sorry, guys, we're using live chat because it's just too many people online. Angela, can I ask you to just check your live chat, the little speech bubble down round about the clock area, just in case anyone has directed anything to you. It'll say private on it if they've directed the question to you, which means I don't have eyes on it. And we would hate to miss anybody's questions. Peter came back to say many thanks, Angela. It's good feedback. Thank you so much. Laura's doing the same. Laura's about to action. To stand by your bunk. There's lots of requests coming in. David Smart said, very helpful and practical session. I'll be encouraging my organisation to use it. Thank you. And Laura's given us fishies and pound signs. Thank you for that. I'm a scuba diving company. Oh, sure, that's why it's fishies. Thank you. It's mermaids, not even pound signs, it's mermaids. Thank you. That didn't translate very well, Laura, so sorry. If there's any more questions, now is the time to pop them through. So while you're having a wee think about questions you want to ask, we've still got plenty of time. Let me just bring you up to speed with everything SDP related. So for those that are new to SDP, welcome. As I said at the beginning, we are a free resource for all Scottish SMEs and third sector organisations. So welcome if you've just found SDP today. We have a raft of training available to help you if you want to be, or if you need to be, a bidding organisation. So not only we're talking about community benefits today, but if you're also the person that wants to tender to deliver your services to a public sector organisation, then we offer training and support on that very subject, in addition to teaching you how to put a community benefit bid together. So for lower value contracts, anything below 50,000, these are called quick quotes. Now you want to be engaging with buyers to be invited to quick quote, that we have a fabulous course called Quick Quotes Made Easy, and you can access it 24/7 via our website. It's in the e-learning platform, and it's available 24/7. You will be registered with SDP, the fact that you're here today, welcome. So through our website, you'll be able to access the e-learning platform. We have 10 courses, from knowing nothing about public sector to knowing absolutely everything about tendering, including how to understand the language that's used, which can sometimes be a bit scary. But all of the courses that I'm about to mention are available on the e-learning platform, in addition to being live online, where you have access to experts like Mandy. June Poptins, thank you. This has been really informative, and we're considering how we can submit a need. Perfect, June, thank you. So we have 1.2, which is using public sector, using Public Contracts Scotland. It's a portal that's used by all public sector bodies, and we have a dedicated course coming up on the 5th of November, how to find and bid for opportunities using PCS. We have 1.3 on the 6th of November, getting your business tender ready, so getting your organisation to get all its ducks lined up. We go through a checklist with you to make sure that you know exactly what's going to be expected. That one's on the 6th of November at 10:30 in the morning. planning your bid, looking at the time and the resources that are required to pull a submission together to provide your services to public sector. That one is on the 12th of November. And I did hear Mandy saying that one of the questions that were asked in the training we were doing required 2 A4 sheets of paper. Now, to complete 2 A4 sheets of paper to answer this question fully took 7.5 hours. Would you ever have set aside 7.5 hours to answer one question? So let's just realistically look at the time and resources that you need to put in place to bid. So that one's on the 12th of November and it's planning your bid 1.4. Is Glasgow one of the top areas for community needs being requested, or do you see lots from other areas? That could be one for Angela.
I don't think we're the top, but we aim to be the top. So as I say, everybody get their applications in and Glasgow will be the top. But the reality is that everybody's doing their best in every single health board area, but there's a variety of resources actually go into each health board area. So every place is really very different. Ayrshire Nairn Health Board, for example, are a very small health board, but they're very active in terms of community benefits. So I would say they're probably the top at the moment, but that's only my personal opinion. But as I say, it's still, it's been going for 2 years. Community Benefit Portal has been functioning for 2 years, but I don't think it's as widely publicised as it could be. So we're very much working in that, and hopefully, as I say, we're doing our very best. So.
Perfect. That's great, Angela. Thank you. Pauline said thank you. Very useful. I'm not seeing any more questions coming through, guys. If you're happy with everything you've heard and there are no more questions and you're happy for us to conclude today's webinar, then maybe you could pop that through the live chat. What we don't want to do is close down if you still have questions, if you still need to gain more information from today's session, then please pop them through the live chat or let me know that you're happy to conclude. So Gillian was asking, if my organisation is based in multiple areas, can I post for more than one board?
Yes, is the answer to that.
Perfect, thank you. Savia said, thanks everyone, this was very useful. Laura said, I'm grand, ladies, thank you. That's brilliant. Okay, so it looks like we might be concluding today's webinar early. My experts are getting off lightly today. I just need more of you to tell me that you're happy. Sarah said, thank you so much, so helpful. Brilliant, Sarah, thank you. Now, I think for most online today, the key is going to be networking, especially for those quick quotes. Please make sure that you use the Meet the Buyer opportunities. There are lots of them on the SDP calendar. Put yourself in front of these buyers, network with them, let them know who you are and what you do. There's a lot of pressure on buyers to buy local, especially from third sector organisations or supported businesses, and they don't know who you are or where you are. Remember, well, Meet the Buyer South was this morning. We'll send you an update on that one, but we've got Fife Meet the Buyer on the 7th of November, and we've got Lanarkshire Meet the Real Buyer on the 20th of November. Please make sure that you network with them. Sarah says, thank you so much. Remind about the survey. So yeah, there was a wee survey sent out. Please make sure that you fill the survey in and give as much information as you possibly can. Fiona said, thank you very much, very helpful. We will be thinking about how we can apply across our organisation and getting some applications in. Perfect. And you said this has been very useful, many thanks. Savia says, where can we find the buyer shows? So the networking opportunities, Savia, are all listed on the calendar. So when you're on SDP's website, there's a ribbon, a red ribbon runs below the wee robot, which is our logo. So within the red ribbon, it's the third or fourth tab along and it's called events and training. When you use the downward arrow, it's the second down, it says all listings, and you'll find all of the networking opportunities listed there. Ellen said, thank you for your time, really useful, informative, needing to dash. Perfect. I think we're coming to an end anyway, Ellen, thank you so much. The link to the calendar, Gillian's just put up on the live chat, Savio, to make it a wee bit easier. Lloyd said, thank you, no questions, but plenty to look at and think on. Savio said, thank you very much. So that says, I am absolutely confident that you're all confident that there are no more questions. I'm sure all of you online are going to join me. Jamie says, thank you. All of you are going to join me online for thinking Gillian and Mandy for being online with us today, and more so to Angela for jumping in at the last minute, unexpected and not prepared. How professional was that? Thank you so much, Angela, for doing that. Really appreciate it. So that's us. You're all free to go and enjoy the rest of your day. Keep your eye on your inbox for an email from SDP containing the links. Bye, guys.
Thank you.